Top of the morning, guys. Father Paul here. So, Sunday morning, typically we start how the way we start off most days. Start off with one ripe banana. Typically, we don't have anything else before an hour before having it, or at least an hour before we have anything else. Then what I'm gonna do is make what I call a green glow. Consists of one lemon, the entire lemon, a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, some honey, and as a liquid we use coconut water. We blend that all up in with ice, and we don't start consuming that until an hour from after eating the banana. So let's get the banana down into that stomach. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so how y'all doing this morning? Hope you had a good weekend so far. I see the Jamaican men in the 4x100 decided that they didn't really want a medal. I mean, not that they decided that, but they dropped the baton, so that got them out of the race. I'm not so sure what's up with Kishane Thompson. He seems like a good athlete, but he seems, I don't know. I mean, he's still pretty new to all of this, I guess. Yeah. And then I saw some pictures of the flooding in Kingston. What I found odd, though, is that the reporter who carried the piece in one of the reports, the lady was talking about all the things that had happened, the debris and the things that were damaged and so on. I found it odd that the reporter didn't choose to show us the things. I mean, I think it would have, they always say a picture, is worth more than 1,000 words, to show us the gully that's been blocked off and so on. Kind of didn't make any sense. But if any of you have a link showing the actual damage that this lady was talking about, drop it in this chat, because I'd love to see it. And secondly, I don't see how it is that they would have been able to put up this building, this apartment or whatever it is, and block the gully. I just don't understand how something like that could happen. But once again, I mean, I have to just take her word for it, but some facts would have been good. Yeah. Other than that, I wonder what this new week has in store for us. I wonder what this week has in store for us. This week of the 21st of September, 2025. Hope you all been giving some thoughts today. Ideas have been dropping out there about this whole how can we get in on the growth, the prosperity, I mean, I don't really think about it, but everything starts with a thought. And I always go back to that first thought the Prime Minister expressed when he said that we would sleep with our windows and doors open. It hasn't totally materialized yet. But that doesn't mean that's not going to happen. Because this whole thing starts with a thought. And he had the thought, and he shared the thought. And I believe the purpose of sharing the thought was more people having that vision, right, and having that thought moves that thought forward. I mean, I don't know how many of you think about it, but there's nothing that happens without a thought. I mean, you before you get out of bed, when you open your eyes, you have a thought of getting out of bed. You have a thought as to what are going to be your next actions. What are you going to do next before it actually happens? And so everything is preceded by thought. Thought is powerful. You know, when they tell you about faith, they say faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. There's some very interesting words in that statement. It says it's the substance of things hoped for, which means they haven't occurred yet. And the evidence of things not seen. There is no evidence to it. There's no proof. But most things start off with that thought. And sometimes you ask yourself, where do thoughts come from? You know? I mean, it's not like we walk around with a bag of thoughts, you know, and deciding to ourselves that, yeah, this is the thought I'm going to have today. No, it doesn't work like that. Thoughts pop in your head. Interesting thing is, who's putting the thoughts in your head? I know. Might be a little bit high up there for some people, but at some point, you think about these things. Where do thoughts come from? And even this thing that we call reality, you know, what exactly is our proof? Right? What's our proof on reality? We just know that we have the thoughts, but we'll just make it a quarter teaspoon. Can leave the full teaspoon for when we're doing a bigger batch. Yeah, where do thoughts come from? And what can you prove? Because you have people telling you this and that and whatever. But most things that you heard it from someone. Even the thought you had that came from somewhere else didn't originate in your mind. It presented itself in your mind. Right? But did it come from your mind? And if it comes from your mind, then that would go to say that you have absolute control over what thoughts you have. And we know that's not true. The hardest thing for us is to control ourselves, our thought patterns. Sometimes we tend to dwell on things that are not even good for us, but we do it anyway. Is it because we want to? No. Something else is putting the thought there. And then some will tell you that, what you feed your mind on, that's what you experience. But is that absolutely true? I look at these pastors these two particular pastors in Jamaica who've been, running them out on the Prime Minister, claiming all kind of bad things gonna happen to him. Now they're declaring that he's gonna lose elections and whatever. And I'm wondering to myself if they actually read in the Bible that they said they're talking from. Because in the Bible it says that there's no power. I think it's Romans 13. It says there is no power but of God. You can take God to be whatever. But we know that what we're speaking about is whatever is the highest authority that exists. Whether we recognize it or not, whether we accept it or not, it's the highest authority. And so, if this highest authority is in charge of what really goes on, and if there's no power given to any man but by this highest authority, well, the Prime Minister has been given that authority in the land. So for you to come out against the Prime Minister sounds to me like you're coming out against God. Yet in the same breath, you're saying God told you. Very interesting. But I always go back to a very peculiar scripture I read many years ago. It was in the book of Chronicles. And there is, I think this is when they said the kingdom was split between Judah and Israel. So you had the king of Judah and the king of Israel. Now apparently the king of Judah came to visit the king of Israel, who was Ahab. And so they're sitting side by side, I guess they call it in the gate, and they're having a chat. And the king of Israel says to the king of Judah, hey, listen man, that place over there, Syria, that was ours, let's go get it. And the king of Judah says, yeah man, I'm with you man, my people are with you, we'll do whatever. But by the way, you don't have no prophet here, man, who hear from God and can tell us what's the right thing. And he said, yeah, I have a guy, man, Micaiah, I think is his name. And that guy, man, he never have nothing good to say about me, man. Never have nothing good to say about me. He said, send for him anyway, man. Send for him anyway. So he sends to go and get this guy. And the guy who he sends to Micaiah says to Micaiah, listen to me now. All the other prophets are saying that the king is going to be successful. And you don't say anything different. And so Micaiah says, as God lives, I will say only what God tells me. And so he slaps him across the face. And he says, yeah, you see that slap? When things falling apart, the same way you're going to be hiding in a closet. So anyway, Micaiah comes in and he says, hey, oh king, man, you're going to do well, man. Everything's going to be good. You're going to take back everything. I'm paraphrasing a little bit here. And the king says to him, hey, boy, what am I tell you? I tell you, so when you talk to me, just tell me the truth, man. I said, well, king, why I saw all Israel scattered as sheep without a shepherd. And so the king of Israel turned to the king of Judah and said, see what I tell you, man. I tell you, so this guy never have nothing good to say about me. So, because I tell you a little bit more. It's like the whole host did meet up with God, and God asked a question. I need an occasion to go and deal with Ahab, for all the things he has done. Which of you shall cause Ahab to fall in my hands? And I said this and them said that, and a little one come up and say, little demon come up and say, hey, I can do it, man. I'm going to be a lying tongue in the mouth of his prophets. And the shocking part is when you read this part in it where it says, what? And this is God, man. A God like saying, yeah, I like that idea. You know what? Go through, my youth. Yeah, man, go through. And yeah, you will prevail. And the point of all of that is, for whatever and however we want to see this God, I mean, God is the word we use. I tend to lean more now to saying creator. Because I don't know where the word God came from. I don't know where the word creator came from. But what I do recognize is that with every thought that I have, and with everything that exists in what I think is a reality, it proceeded from some thought, and hence creation. So I can take it that whoever is in charge of all of that must be the creator. And that's just my personal thing. And so I look at these people running their mouth and talking against the Prime Minister. And time again, they're found out to be false prophets because the things that they're saying don't come to pass. And so when the Prime Minister said, we shall sleep with our windows and our doors open. And here it is, we're at a point where crime is cut in half. And systematically, the government is doing things to create opportunity for people so people can be busy. Because as they say, the devil finds work for idle hands to do. So as much as we can, we try to get the guys from off the corners and dig out them hand middle. We get the girls into doing productive activity. And for the kids coming out of school, we're extending it so that they can go to heart. They can always find something to do. And will be more productive, generate more, and keep that cycle going of production, consumption, expansion. Prayer of Jabez was, bless me indeed, enlarge my territory. And so it is that is what I see happening in Jamaica. And so when I come with this thing about what is it and how is it, it's a thought that entered my mind. And I'm looking to see how many other people have in this thought and how we can build on this thought. Yeah. That's the thinking. That's the thinking. So let's blend up this goodness here and see. I'll show you the final product in a second, or rather about a minute or two. Yes, folks. So here we blend it up, and this is the green glow, and I would say maybe another 45 minutes we start to drink this. It's not a the flow down, drink it gradually. Just put a little bit more ice in there. cover. Yep. There we go. Green glow. So let's give these things some thought. And how can we take part in the prosperity? How can we come together as a people, even outside of Jamaica? How can we move ahead with these projects? Create some of our own projects and see how we can get the buy-in. You guys have a great day. Father Paul.